Aloha, everyone, and welcome to the Ukulele podcast. My name is Aldrine Guerrero. Joining me are Mr. Aaron the Voice Nakamura, all the way over there. Say what's up, Aaron.
What's up?
Mr. Kahai the Legend Fergan. Say what's up, Kahai.
What's up?
Today, I am in a state of shame. I'm just displeased with my actions, with my words, and my thoughts, and in what I have done, and in what I have failed to do. All right. This episode, we have a very special guest, who this right here.
For his own protection.
Okay, for his own protection.
Where-
His or her own protection.
Yeah. We're changing their
They're changing their voice just to make sure that
covering them.
they stay protected. So those are your pronouns for today, right?
Yes.
No, Kahai's got your voice changed. Don't worry.
Oh, okay.
You can talk normal.
All right. I
Yeah.
shall then.
Yeah, might I add, you're looking very beautiful today.
I thank you.
Yeah. I first, just right at the top of the show, I just want to apologize to you. And I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know what I was doing. I have made a mistake, and I can admit to that. I'm an adult, and I know how to admit my faults when I'm wrong. And like I said, it's not just what I've done, it's what I've failed to do. Okay? I know I did you wrong, and I have failed to trust you as a friend.
Oh, could you also play something on the ukulele while you're doing the
Why?
Because that's how YouTube apologies go. You gotta play something on the ukulele as you're apologizing.
I'm very sorry. I'm sorry. It's all that I can say. The days have gone by, and still weeks, perhaps. The words don't come easily. Like I'm sorry. So I'm asking you one thing, my friend. Forgive me. It's all that I can ask. The weeks gone by, and still the words don't come easily. Like forgive me. So, probably to the audience, I should probably explain my sins to a good friend of mine. So, a few weeks back, let's go all the way back. See, I have a friend who's not just a friend, but is a mentor, a best friend, who's not just a mentor, but a fellow, almost like a co-parent. You would say. This person has raised me. This person has made sure that I grew up to be the man that I am today. But not like this, because this is a man that's admitting to his shameful actions towards this person that I have admired and I have looked up to all my life. So I have been into eating a little bit healthier for my own health, for my girls, for my family, for my own longevity in life. I have been obsessed with a dish called tofu poke. So for those of you folks who don't know what poke is Hawaiian word for cubed or sliced. So it's cubed. Usually it's fish, but tofu poke, I said, from Konohiki here on the island of Kauai, was the best tofu poke I've ever had, because the only tofu poke that I've had here on Kauai. It is made out of fried tofu mixed with seaweed, maui onions, edamame, and tossed up in a poke sauce. My friend, mentor, best friend, co-parent of sorts, all right, has told me, you know what? You should go to Fish Express in the town of Lihue and try theirs because it is not deep fried. My friend, I am worried about your health eating so much fried tofu. If you're going for health, then that's not what you should be doing. And I said, why? And this person said it is the best on the island. And I said, okay, let me try it out. So for 3 weeks straight, I went to said establishment that this person told me to go to. Sorry, I'm getting mad again. And every other day, met with we don't have any, or we don't make that, or I don't know what you're talking about, boy. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, because a trusted friend of mine told me that this establishment sold this dish. Okay. And then come one Friday night, when this said friend went to my show to not only support me, but to hang out and just enjoy my company, I attacked. I apologize for attacking you, saying, "Hey, you're a liar." I said, "You're a liar." I went to that establishment 3 weeks in a row. 3 weeks in a row. And I have faced nothing but humiliation from the staff. The staff saying, I don't know what you're talking about. We don't sell that here. I said, no, but my friend would never, ever lie to me like that. And then, yeah, come Friday night, I said, hey, you're a liar. I said, you're a big fat liar and a phony and somebody I do not trust anymore. Because you told me, and I said, you sure? You promise? And you're like, yes, it's the best. I went. I felt humiliated, and I came to you, and I said, I no longer want to see your lying face ever. I feel like this. You would have said something. I feel like I'm usually the person doing the joke and playing jokes. You guys know here on the podcast, I'm usually the guy making fun of people. But I felt like for the very first time, I felt like I was getting trolled, and no one let me in on this sick joke.
It's like, Anakin, you're breaking my heart.
Yes, you broke my heart, saying that this existed, and I felt humiliated. I felt small. Okay, and I just all these adjectives I can't even think of right now. Okay, and then you came through for me, and then you proved me wrong. You said, and I quote, "What are you doing before your AG Ukulele Academy, which you can sign up for at Aldrine.com?" What are you doing before you teach over at the AG Ukulele Academy? That's on Mondays and Fridays every 4 to 6 p.m. Okay, signing up over aldrine.com. And I said, well, why nothing? And he said, well, why don't you stop by my workplace, the establishment where I am currently an employee in. I have something for you. And I went before my classes over at AG Ukulele Academy, Aldrine.com. And lo and behold, waiting for me was this beautiful cubes of white, almost marshmallowy like tofu with edamame and ocean salad. Wow. What a class move. And you said, I got it from Fish Express, where I told you that it was going to be at. I humbly and full-heartedly apologize to you, my friend, mentor, co-parent of sorts. I am ashamed of myself, and I am issuing a public apology in front of my audience. Not just anyone, the people that I care the most about. People like Jim Bills, people like Karen, people like Gigi. These are people I care about, and I want them to know how ashamed I am of my actions. To you, my friend, mentor, co-parent of sorts.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think.
Do you accept my apology?
Absolutely.
Okay.
This has been weighing so hard on my heart that this Lenten season, I've been doing nothing but praying to our Lord, our Savior, for forgiveness. But He told me that no, you should ask for forgiveness from the person themselves. And I thank you for your forgiveness. Now I can move on with my life.
Yeah.
Free of this burden, free of this weight, this heavy sack of shame that I've been walking around with. A Santa sack full of shame. Enough for toys for kids all around the world is the amount of shame that I have bearing on my back. Thank you.
Yeah. Now we can. Oh, okay. Thanks for coming on. We'll see you later.
Have a good week.
They can leave and then. Hey!
Someone else came by.
Wait. And it's just because Mike is using the same mic that it sounds weird.
Oh, yeah.
The voice changer.
Change the mic.
Okay.
Change
Yeah. It's good. It's good.
What's
now.
up, man? How's it going?
up, man?
Also, Magic Mike Odor, everyone.
Hi guys.
What's up, man?
Not much.
Sorry, did you?
I got here late, so I just ran past whoever that other person was.
Yeah, sorry. You don't know that person? No, that person's my best friend.
Oh.
It's a good thing you aren't here because it was pretty heavy for the first 15 minutes.
Dude, I had to apologize publicly to my audience, which I love so much. People like Jim, who I care so much for, that would never say a bad thing about. And Karen, and Gigi, and Chris Lanzin, and Yoda Sapien, and all these people I care about. I had to publicly apologize in front of these people. They accepted my apology, which is
That's
fine.
good.
Which is fine.
Oh my gosh.
Was that okay, Kahai?
Yeah, good.
All right. So what we do in this show is we answer any and all of your ukulele questions. So if you got questions, we got opinions on those questions. Okay. I'll try to answer it as best as I can. These three guys will put in their 2 cents and we'll give you the best 8-cent answer that you're looking for. These 8-cent opinions, right, gentlemen?
Yep.
Here we go. First question, Kahai.
This is from our very own Tim Wilson. And he said, would you mind giving a quick demo of how you would teach someone Noke ano Ahiahi if you were on the beach together or waiting for the bus after school? I need an idea of how to play it. Emphasis on play. I'm getting so hung up on the specifics of what you did in the video that I keep losing the song.
Okay, so Noke ano Ahiahi, and this goes for a lot of basically any song that you want to teach somebody. So if you're trying to do a quick demo or quick kind of like lesson for people, the best thing to do is to break it down like in bite-sized pieces that they can go home with, and regardless of how many bites they took, they'll be satisfied. Does that make sense? So if if you're teaching them on the bus and then their next stop is them going home, whatever bite they took, they're happy with, right? That's how I would kind of present it. Now, for those that don't know, Noke ano Ahiahi sounds something like this. I haven't played in a while, but I'm going to try my best, okay? Okay. And it's a song by I heard it from like Hawaiian Style Band, from Kyle Critter Boys, from like all these people that play that song. Now with Noke ano Ahiahi, if you're gonna teach somebody, the first bite-size bit that is enough to go home with, of course, is the rhythm and chords, right? So if you just go Noke ano Ahiahi ke aloha la if you just teach them that, if you just teach them the chord D, G, and C. I believe that's all the chords that you need to teach them. If you can teach D, G, and C, you're all good. If the next stop is their stop, they'll be happy. And then you don't even have to teach them the right side, like rhythm wise. You just teach them the chords so that, if you just like how I did, we just down strums. No ke ano ahi ahi. So it's down. E aloha kala kali ali anamai. So D, and then to G, 2, 3, 4, D, 2, 3, 4, G, 2, 3, 4, D, 2, 3, 4, G, 2, C. So D, G, C, C, D, 2, 3, 4. So there is a measure of, so 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, that's how I would present it. So just say for the most part, you're going from D to G. And then C, then back to D, okay? If you want to like kind of show them some tips on how to switch from D to G, that's where you would put it, or from G to C, C to D, however, so that they can like comfortably move from chord to chord. They go home on the next stop. If they go grab their ukuleles, they could play No Ke Ano Ahiahi, correct, gentlemen? Right?
Yep.
And that's just simple down strums. The next thing you can do, if their stop is one, one more stop after that, you can kind of talk about the strumming and how you would strum that. So you can just do regular down up, down up, down up. No ke ano ahiahi, ke aloha la 2, 3, kali ali anamai. Okay. Now. And then I would add like accents. So if you're like, okay, like you could just do down, up, down, up, down, up. You want to make it fancy, you'd add accents on 2 and 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Aloha la kahali ali anamai. Okay? Now, if you're getting fancier and fancier, you can instead of doing strums, you can do finger picking. So that strum that we did, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. You can substitute pickings for that. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, all that I'm doing, if you're like, oh, what fancy things are you doing? I took a simple in and out technique. In, so C-E, then out strings, G-A. C-E-G-A, C-E-G-A. Okay, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and 1 and... It doesn't have to be that. You could just play random notes on whatever random strings that you want to on the right side. You can do... So that's just random. There's no and it still sounds fine as long as you're keeping rhythm. That's why I wanted to do rhythm first and then picking wise. Yeah. So if you're if you're talking about getting confused and mixed up with the timing of the song, if you go back to the to the basics of just 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and you'll start to get it a little bit better, and then know that how many beats each chord gets. So you get that, you're all good. Okay. Now, if you have a long journey in the bus and you're really trying to teach this person, then you can kind of look at the melody line. Just try to figure out where the melody line is, and just try to fit that within the within the rhythm. So you want to that's now kind of juggling. Okay, you're trying to juggle the the melody line, and you're trying to juggle the the rhythm at the same time. Just kind of getting the rhythm. You can do strum. You don't even have to do the finger picking. You can do. So I'm just strumming, and then, but it's a little tough to go from this kind of technique to strumming. So that's why I did it at finger picking. So it'd be a. right? But if you really break down what I'm doing right hand wise, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, it's still the same kind of rhythm. It just sounds fancy because I'm trying to add the melody line to the to the rhythm of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and just kind of playing around with it a little bit so that it doesn't sound too boring. But other than that, really that song, I don't want to like insult people and say like, it's like super easy. Don't worry about it. It is, it is like challenging in the sense of you're trying to juggle all these things at the same time. But once you break down each thing, it's a lot easier to get that. But that's how I would present it to somebody.
Yeah, I think like if Tim is trying to follow the solo and what you did in there, it's like just think about like when somebody's singing the song, like the no ke ano, like that is the first 3 notes, right? Yeah. And that's what you're trying to like, that is the melody line too. Yeah. So as long as you get those notes and kind of those notes stand out a little bit more, then the rest can be whatever you want, and they're just like fillers, and it's like, okay, like if you hear it, you'll know what a person is playing, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
yeah. What do you guys?
Yeah. For the finger picking, like people have asked this in the past where it's like, how do you know like what, like is it just random? Yeah. And it's like it actually kind of isn't, because if you're just doing like, think if you're doing down up down up down up down up, and you're doing like the downs on like the 1 1 2 3 4 and the ups on the ands in between, if you assign like your thumb to the G and C string, those are all going to be downs. And then the if your pointer and middle are like the E and A, those are always going to be ups because you're plucking up and your thumb is going down. So if you just map it to that, down up down up down up down up, then you can play either the G or C for the downs, or the E and the E and A for the ups, for any of the ups. But really all you're doing is like a mini strum. With your fingers like assigned to those ones, and it doesn't matter which string you hit for the down and which one for the up. It's either G or C for the down, or E or A for the up.
That's great, because even if you miss it and you end up kind of like strumming,
it doesn't matter.
It's like a happy mistake.
Yeah, so it's almost like you're replacing. You're kind of still strumming. Yeah. But finger picking sounds fancy, but you're just strumming, really. Yeah.
I was thinking about it too, and it's like, I think now finger picking and finger style has become like the trendy word, and people mean like solo, like playing and stuff like that. But for all of us growing up, like I think most people in Hawaii learn to like finger pick, and it's not because it's like it's fancy or it's cool. It's like, I don't have a pick. Like, I'm just going to use my fingers, right? So it's like finger picking. Yeah. And it's less like that, like doing solos or doing melodies. And it's just like playing rhythms, right? You're just playing rhythms with your fingers. So it's like for every song, you just play it, like you can finger pick and do rhythms. And that's how people get comfortable here anyways. Yeah. It's not like, oh, I got to go out and learn it. And, oh, somebody's going to teach me the Travis picking. It's just like, I'm just picking whatever notes in this chord. Yeah.
Well, the truth too is that if you are holding the correct chord, then any note you pluck will be correct.
Yeah.
So, eventually, yes, maybe you'd want to get to that point where you're like specific picking, like you were saying, like 2 inner strings, the 2 outer strings. Yeah. But honestly, like at the very beginning, just hold a chord and just hit every random string. It'll
to rhythm.
To the rhythm. But if you just have a simple, steady rhythm, you can pretty much hit any string, and it's going to be okay because all the notes work.
Yeah. I was telling Aaron, like, I think that's how I learned finger picking, and then you do that while, like, if you listen to somebody else doing like a set pattern or a very specific thing, and you kind of just realize like, oh, I'm not hitting the same strings as them. And then you kind of just like keep trying other strings. And then it's like eventually like, okay, now I'm like doing the same thing as them, doing like a set thing.
Or something similar at least. Or the
filling that role.
Yeah, the main notes that are supposed to come out at certain times are coming out at those times. But the rest can be anything. Right? And it'll still sound good. Yeah. So because like even with that, you're mainly focusing on the chords and the melody.
And then everything else is just
filler.
Random filler.
Yeah.
And then also like the second part to that kind of So and then I thought this was good to have Mike on too.
Yeah.
So he said, listening to the versions of No Ke Ano Ahiahi you linked from the lesson page, I was struck by how very different they are.
Yeah.
The Hot Hawaiian Nights version is straight up Hawaiian. Eddie Kamai's version sounds more like a hymn, an emphasis on the chant. Melvin Leeds' version is rocket fueled country hoedown. I know that everyone is supposed to make their own cover their own, but I'm really struck by this one, that there doesn't seem to be a definitive version of a song as important as No Ke Ano Ahiahi.
Yeah.
Very different from the European idea of musical notation where you can say without any real question, it goes like this. Is the Hawaiian approach to it goes like this more like Kani Kapila, where it goes however you learned it? Does the idea of definitive version even apply in Hawaiian music?
Well, these are stories. Like the thing that you guys got to realize is that like Hawaiian music is based off of like, you know, stories that people are trying to tell, and like each person telling the story is going to have their way of telling that story. So it's not just about the notes in the, you know, in the song, but if the story is still there, you could rearrange the chords and the notes and whatever, however long, you know, however much you want and stuff. Like I've heard like 10 different versions of No Pai Pai. I've heard 10 different versions of Koke'e. Like that's not just No Ke Ano Ahiahi.
And that's conservative.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, 10 is very conservative. You know, like each. If you pay attention enough to like say, you know, like halaus like around like Hawaii and stuff, like each song, depending on which halau is doing it, is gonna have like a different way of singing it, a different way of dancing it, a different way of like just interpreting the story or the. It's just on how, you know, because the way if say. One of my favorite books, like Good Night Moon, right? If I were to read it versus the way that Mike would read it, is like gonna be two different ways of reading it, right?
Even though
like,
we have the same words.
Yeah, it's same book, you know, reading from the same exact book and stuff. And that's basically what it's like. So these people are just interpreting it or telling that story the way that they want to tell that story. But as long as the lyrics and the idea is the same, because you can definitely change an idea, or like you can definitely change the feel of the song. Yeah, it's open to interpretation. So it's not just, I feel like it's not just Hawaiian music. Like there's a lot of, you know, music that are kind of like that. But yes, musical notation in that sense, if you're reading it like as a sheet of music, you know. But I feel like with these stories, almost like verbal, you know, kind of stories that you just tell from, you know, generation to generation. Like each storyteller is going to have their own unique way of telling that story.
Yeah, and I would actually say that the concept that like Western orchestral music, because it's notated, is then that's just the way to play it. It's not really true either. I think all of us who've played in band or orchestra or anything would tell you notes on the page and all the articulations and dynamics, directions, those are all suggestions.
That's what I told Macintosh, and he didn't believe me.
Not in this class.
However, the thing would be that the storyteller becomes the conductor.
Yeah.
That's who it becomes. The storyteller becomes the conductor. So, for instance, think of something really famous like Beethoven's Fifth. Ba, 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 ba. If you listen to like a European orchestra play, like the Berlin Philharmonic, and you listen to the New York and the Chicago and the LA Phil play it, it is the same piece, yes, but they do sound different. Now, sometimes those differences are a little bit more subtle than, say, you know, Eddie Kamai playing like a slow, reverent version of the song and Melvin Lead going full hee-haw on it. But still, the musicians, the conductor, how they rehearse, everything is different. And so it will be different. I've heard there's reasons why classical music nerds have favorite recordings of specific symphonies, because if they did all sound the same, then you could just buy any one and you'd be fine.
You wouldn't need,
You wouldn't need more than one orchestra. You could just have one, you know. And even orchestras, certain orchestras have specific sounds. Like the London the London Phil under John Williams sounds a very specific way because of how he conducts, how he writes, all that stuff like that. And then if you hear like his Star Wars or music played by another orchestra, it's not quite the same. So I guess what I'm really trying to say is all music in itself is open to levels of interpretation.
I think even like playing, like all of us have played music, and it's like we can play songs that we can play with like our eyes closed and not have to think about it. But it just depends day to day what that song will come out like and what it will feel like. Because I'm sure all of us have played those songs, and then we're playing with like a group or something, and it's just like, man, it feels really good today. Something is up, and it's like you can't exactly explain it, but everything clicks into place, and it's just like, oh, it feels good. And then other times it's like, I'm not really feeling it. I can get through the song, but it's like, it's okay today. It's just all right. But I think for the audience, it might be harder to tell where they'll be like, oh, it sounds the same, you know? Yeah. But like for us, it's like, oh yeah, there is a difference.
Yeah, there's, I mean, sometimes it's like Mike said, sometimes it's subtle, sometimes it's drastic. Koke'e, like hearing like how, you know, Kamakahi did it versus like hearing, you know, how Pure Heart did it versus hearing like how, you know, like Makaha's sons do it versus, you know, like Nue does it. You know, there's all these different versions of like the same song. And Noke Ano Ahiahi is like, it's so simple because it's just like a 3-chord song. Yeah. It's so simple that like it is open to interpretation that you're like, hey, if you want to add more in there, you feel free to add more, you know, add more chords.
Well, I feel like this, especially with Hawaiian songs, because I think the origin of it is like a chant.
Yeah.
So like a lot of those songs that started off as a chant, like of course it's open to interpretation. Right. Once you add musical instruments to it, like you could basically take it and it's almost as if like from back in the day there was a poem that got really famous and then people started making music out of it. Like the offshoots of that is like it might be the same words, but like the way that people choose to play it is going to be vastly different. So we have a lot of that in Hawaii.
And it could even be the same person. I heard Dennis Kamakahi play Koke a bunch of times. And depending on his mood, he could have done something. He did different things with it different times.
I was just thinking about that because it's like we put up Knocking on Heaven's Door, Bob Dylan. Yeah. And I've seen somebody say, the best concert I ever went to was Bob Dylan. The worst concert I ever went to was Bob Dylan. And it's like, but that guy, he plays so much, you know, live music. Yeah. It's like, you got to imagine that he's just like, I don't want to play the song the same way every single night.
Oh, absolutely.
I got to change it up for myself.
Now I have a new life goal. I want somebody to say that about my show. It's the best show they've ever seen. It's the worst show they've ever seen. So just it does depend on my. Sometimes I'm in a mood and I'm just like, I don't want to do this.
Right now. Do you have any performers that you can think of off the top of your head where they rarely play it the same way live?
Chick Corea.
Oh yeah.
100%. If you're thinking about more like a singer songwriter. That type. I mean, Bob Dylan would be pretty up there.
Yeah. Wasn't there a story about, was it like Louis Armstrong was like playing trumpet and then like people were like transcribing what he was playing?
No, that was Pee Wee Reese? Ellis? I can't remember Pee Wee Sullivan. He was a famous Dixieland clarinetist. So he was doing this long stretch at a club, and one night this music student came up to him and had the sheet music of his solo transcribed note for note. It's like, oh, sir, you know, I transcribed your solo. It is so amazing. How did you do this? And then the guy looked at it and was like, well, first of all, I can't really read this. Second of all, I'm glad you liked it, but I'm not going to play it the same way tonight.
Yeah.
Can I be honest with you? Yeah. Like, I felt that same exact way when I first went to Korea, because, you know, like I played Bandito Tyler was it Bandito Tyler or Senior Victor? Senior Victor. Play Senior Victor so much times, and I play that differently, you know, also like from the album to when we play it live to when I play it by myself. There's like different versions of that song. There's even like a slow version that I do every now and then of that tune. Anyway, we go to Korea, and in Korea there was like a Korean ukulele school. They're like, hey, you know, we did your song, just wanted to make sure that it was correct, so could you look it over? and see if we got it right. And I'm not like a tab guy, you know, like, and I've said that before. I mean, I can read tabs now, but back in the day, I was like kind of an anti-tabs guy, you know? And they're like, oh, can you look this over and see if it's correct? I'm like, yep, yeah, looks pretty good. Yeah, yeah.
How about you play it for me? How about you play it for me? I can tell you that.
It was definitely our notes. You know, like,
that's the way I would do it. Like, can you play it for me?
Based on those numbers, that
me.
looks like, you know, that looks like what I'm playing based on the numbers that you put in there. Like, well, that's good job, you know, like, and it. And I remember asking to keep it because I'm like, I've never seen anything like this. You know, like I've never thought that like my music would get like, you know,
tabbed out.
Right. Yeah, that was the first time. And then like came Sarah and like and the music. I remember saying things like, hey, can you look this over? I'm like, yeah, that sounds pretty good. That kind of looks like those are the chords, yeah, that I play in that song.
You sent Sarah the tabs I made for it, right?
Yeah, because I'm not, you know, not that guy. And she's just like, I switched this around. I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna throw Kahai under the bus.
No, it's perfectly fine for you to do that. Because when she said that, I was like, oh yeah. She said like, oh, this is actually the time signature should be this.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to change time signatures when I made that tab. I think I didn't. People go like, "Oh, hey, isn't the key signature for this tab supposed to be this for our old tabs?"
Yeah,
I did not know how to change key signatures in tabs. So.
It's funny.
Yeah.
So I've had that feeling where like somebody came up like, "Hey, I transcribed your song. Like, is it correct?" I'm like, "Yes."
That's also another point I wanted to bring up though, because like Tim pointed out European music.
Yeah.
But wasn't the original like European notation
tabs,
but like there were dots, and they were like who sings what, but it wasn't standardized where it's like, oh, you're singing a C, you're singing E. It's just like you sing this, oh, you sing this, you sing this.
Yeah, a lot of when you're talking about Gregorian chant, it started like that where they're just giving you visual representations about who's singing what where. They did, and here's the thing with when it came to like those chants, they didn't actually aim for notes. What they were aiming for was the guy who was singing the bass part, they just figured out who had the lowest voice and what was the lowest note he could sing. And that was the one that went on the bottom. So
sing that over and over.
so if you went to a different monastery, yes, it would end up like in a different key because you had different people there.
Yeah.
And
that guy couldn't sing as low. So
or maybe he could sing lower.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. So whoever your bass note guy was, depending on that note is where the rest of everybody found their notes from. And that's what the original representation was. It just later sort of became like, okay, well, let's make this little dot right here, make it this particular note.
It's pleasing to the ear.
Yeah. But because like how, like prior to having standardized notes, how would you even know, right?
Well, you wouldn't. And the thing is, you remember any sort of sheet music for that era and that type of place would have been specifically for that place.
Yeah.
So like if we had, you know, this monastery over here and the guy who sang bass for them, all these are like his note was like a low C.
Yeah.
Then everybody kind of stacked on there and they would always just do it by ear. Ba, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
And so 50 years later, that guy passes away and another guy comes in and maybe his lowest note isn't C anymore. Maybe his lowest note is D. So, but they still use the same thing.
Yeah.
Because that's how, you know.
Yeah, just by ear.
Yeah, it was just by ear.
It's because like, oh, we really like your version of this chant. Can we learn it? And then they're like, okay, we'll send over our low bass note funk with Pushy music.
And then go from there.
Yeah.
And then he gets there and he's like, oh, my voice is a little raspy today. You know, I'm not singing exact the same.
Hey, guys, I can go lower than that. If you just need me to go lower than that.
Yeah.
I know, like, Jacob Collier, he said, like, when I get sick, I get so excited because it means I can sing lower. And have a raspier voice.
All right. So, any other questions?
Yeah.
Hi. Any questions on the chat?
Yeah, we got some questions in the chat. So this one comes from Kui Lee. And
I don't think it's the.
I was gonna say,
Okay, go ahead.
glad to see you're tuning in.
Yeah,
But they said question for Mike or question for all. Who gave you some good advice, ukulele or not ukulele related, and what was the advice?
Well, all my ukulele advice pretty much comes from him. I think we both could say that a lot of like music advice that kind of impacted our whole lives came from Larry McIntosh.
Yeah.
I would also throw like Renee Thronis, who was my choir teacher. I learned a lot from her. How to be a performer, Arnold Meister. You know.
Yeah.
Or what were those pieces of
what was
advice?
Mac,
What was the advice?
make sure to practice.
Sounds like it.
You have to know the 3 Ds: determination, discipline. You remember that?
It's a third D.
Oh my gosh! And the third one, I only
He's
just remember
flipping
the
in
first
his
thing.
grave right now. Like, oh my God, I haven't taught you anything, Mike. You got 2 of the 3 Ds. I was expected.
Oh my gosh!
I knew I couldn't.
I learned from him. Other ones I learned. Also from him, I learned about listening, like how he listened to things was different than how I listened to things. And when I was like a senior in school and just at KCC, I didn't have a car, so he drove me home a lot of times, and just listening to music in the car with him.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, you hear that?" And he would, "Oh, listen to that lick. Listen to that lick. The Cannonball's playing here," and just things I would hear through his ears that, to my young ears, and I guess what I was really benefiting from was I had the benefit of his 40 years of listening to music, and he was able to point things out that then I heard that I probably wouldn't have heard immediately or not for a while after that. Mrs. Thronis, a lot of her advice was she absolutely does not watch this, but if she ever heard this, the thing I heard her say the most was, "Hey, Oro, quiet, stop talking."
Greatest advice ever.
I feel. Wait, that's generational, right?
Yes.
And it comes to
Yes, including the throwing stuff part, because this Mrs. Throw. When I was in school, we still had the chalkboards at school, and I cannot tell you how many times my mouth just was like talking to somebody, and all of a sudden there was a thump on my head and a cloud of chalk dust.
You were talking? No.
From her just chucking it. She would always keep her piano so her back was to the chalkboard, and no, anybody, she just
That eraser.
the eraser. And so chalk dust everywhere. It was like, I'm
Kids,
sorry,
that's
Mrs.
what it was
Thrones.
like, late 80s, early 90s. That's what it was
When
like.
Kahai came along, it was more like drumsticks and stuff like that. Like,
drumsticks and then getting chased out of the band room.
Yeah.
he learned.
Advice. My grandma gave me like the earliest advice. I'll give you that one. I'll give you a few. So my grandma's advice, because I was tone deaf like as a kid, and my family loved doing like karaoke and stuff, and like my uncles, including my dad, like a bunch of them would just kind of make fun of me because I didn't like really know how to sing in tune or sing just in general, And my grandma's like, just like, no worry, like don't mind them. Just sing. If you like to sing, just sing. Like, who cares? Like, don't worry about what anybody tells you. Just do what you love to do.
Yeah.
And I think I kind of, that stuck with me because like I talk about like going to like elementary school, going to a high school and stuff, and like the better that I got, like I thought like the less bullying because like if I play well enough, then like then people wouldn't bully me so much for being terrible at playing, but it was kind of like it went from the you can't play with us to just look at him showing off again, like,
And what Aldrine learned was that people are jerks no matter how.
And I think so. My grandma's advice rings true. Just just do what you love to do. If you love to do, if you love to sing, if you love to play, who cares? If it's wrong, if it's right, if it's in tune, if it's not in tune. If you love to do it, do it.
By the way, I remembered it. It's dedication. That was
Oh, that's the last D.
determination, discipline, dedication.
So yeah, I mean that's like that's the best advice. Like as growing up, like that would just ring in my head, and like I guess I just didn't care like if what I sounded if I was in tune, and I still don't. I still don't. I don't think I'm like in tune even 80% of the time, 70% of the time. But I think I do it with the kind of passion that my grandma was like always expected that I do everything that I do. And I think that like that shows in the music. I mean, we're just talking about Bob Dylan, you know what I mean? Like, and Bob Dylan's one of like the best like poets, writers, performers like of our time, and he's not the greatest singer, nor was he like an amazing player either. Like I think he was just he had a passion for what he did, and that passion like showed through his through his performances, through his playing, through what he did on stage.
I think a lot of people do say that though when people ask that question. You hear this a lot I would rather see someone get up there and just pour everything onto the stage and have a bunch of rocky areas than someone who can get up there and do it 100% in tune, in pitch, perfect. But there's no soul there.
I was gonna say, like, it kind of reminds me of like what I heard you say is like when people say, "Oh, you should play a song in this style or like using this cover," right? And I've heard you say too, like, if you want me to play exactly like that, why don't you just play the recording? Don't you want me to play it like in my own style?
Right.
So
that another like indirect advice that I got from someone is like, and is just how to treat people. Like by watching Jake and how he like treats people, how he conducts himself, and like he's like in my opinion like is the best ukulele player in the world. So like but he still makes time for every single person. He's every time I call, I text, or I email, whatever, he'll email back when he can. He never leaves me hanging. He's he does all these charities. He's just a great human in general, and he's supposed to be the best, and he's never ever, at least to me, and I'm pretty sure everyone can attest to that like never has given us that vibe of like the like I'm better than you, so like you're not like up to in my level, like he's never ever like given off that vibe of like like I am like leagues above you or whatever. Like no, he's always made us feel comfortable, and no matter what like what your playing level is, like he's always been really, really, really good. He'll jam, he'll play with whoever. Really, really, really awesome guy. Another one that I got from him like is songwriting, and it's just kind of like play melodically. Like I'm kind of losing that a little bit, but whenever I would do solos, because when I met Jake, I was young and I was like, kind of into like playing super fast or playing like super fancy, whatever. But then he taught me to just slow it down, be melodic, because you can try to play like 1,000,001 notes, but if like one of those sound good, like if one note played right is gonna sound better than 100 notes played wrong, then why don't you just play the one note? And that's kind of that made me think, like, oh, okay, I should play with more substance. I should play with more intention. So a lot of the stuff that I do, like Bandito Tyler, that all the instrumentals in that album were very melodic. And that's why going with when we talked about that show with Sarah doing the ukulele ukulele songs for the jazz orchestra and jazz band kind of thing, it's because like the melodies in that like were pretty prominent, and I think were very, very strong melodies, and it didn't focus on like, okay, we'll just play these, just play them like super fancy, super fast, and whatever, like, oh, this, like, this technique is gonna wow them, so I'm gonna do this technique and like in this song. It's always about the melody. And one last one from John Cruz: sing the song as if it's your life story. It's just like, whoa. Because I'm just like, how do you have like that kind of passion? Like no matter what you're singing, it's like it's because like sing every song like it's your life story, because or else like it's not gonna mean anything. Like if you don't put meaning into it, if you don't attach yourself to it, and and you kind of have to sing it with it's same thing, with intentions, with with the same kind of passion, or else it'll be passionless and no one wants to listen to that.
That's definitely a John thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah.
He's an actor, that's why. So he can step into any
whatever
role.
role. Yeah.
And
Because it doesn't have to be about you. Same thing. Yeah. Like you can just pretend like it's it's about your life story. And you just have to put yourself in the shoe of that whoever wrote that song, and then when you perform it, it'll be authentic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought I was hoping you're gonna say that your grandma said, "Don't worry about a thing, because every little thing." And then it's like you.
My grandma Robert Marley.
Hey, look out the window. There's 3 little birds.
And then you hear it's like, Grandma, this guy Bob Marley, he stole it from you.
Grandma, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about.
This guy
Talking
Robert.
about birds.
Get out of here, Robert.
Got me, Robert Nesta.
You have anything, Aaron? You have
Do
any?
you think that's why he wrote it 3 little birds? Because nests?
Yeah.
I was just wondering if he really liked iced tea instead.
I really liked the sequel to that song, like "Don't Worry, Be Happy." That was really good.
Yeah. And I love the my favorite take on a Bob Marley quote is from The Office. Like Aaron, the character Aaron, she's like, "No, I was super sad." And then I thought about that Bob Marley song. It goes, "No woman, no cry." No woman, no cry. So I did it.
It's like you need that as like a poster with like a cat hanging on or something.
No woman, no cry.
Oh gosh.
I love that. That's like my favorite interpretation of a Bob Marley song. All right. Any last minute questions, Scott?
So Kui again said, "I'm a uke player and I like to perform a gig in Hawaii someday. Any suggestions as to how someone not from Hawaii may be able to do this, please? Thanks. How did you guys get the gigs you have now?"
We
easy
were
when
born
you
in
live
Hawaii.
Here. Yeah, if you live here, it's kind of easy. I don't know. Like, if you just like to perform, we're, I think there's a difference between when people think like, I want to like play a concert in Hawaii or just perform. If you just want to perform, you can go to like any open mic and just do it. And you can do that.
In fact, you probably should if you haven't before.
Yes, I was just gonna say like that's where it starts. And then, but if your goal is to like have a performance in Hawaii where like people come out and see you and stuff, it's not gonna happen unless you build it. Like you gotta build that following, that kind of that status. So going to those, going to an open mic and honing on your craft in the place that you want to play at. Go to, check out whatever open mic here in Hawaii and just play for it.
It really just depends, because it really talks about the scale you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because there are plenty, depends on where you're going. So first, do some research, figure out what places where you're in Hawaii you're going have music. Because there's a lot of restaurants and stuff. Mm-hmm. Like if you call them a few months in advance and say, "Hey, I'm a traveling musician from so-and-so. Here's a YouTube video of me playing. I see that you have music over there. I was wondering, could I get booked for a night there?"
Yeah. Or even like a short set.
Yeah.
Whatever you can spare.
Yeah. If you call like, I don't know, like Paniola Grill or the Bullshed or something like that, if it's far out enough, yeah. You probably could. Our good buddy who was just here, Joey Charles.
Yeah.
When he was here, he would always like throw himself in, and he would like, put my name on the list. If someone like needs a sub, calls out, I'll come on in. Yeah. And after a couple times of that, then people would start to, let's call that Joey guy again. And so that's how he started to build his network of. But you can do that too. Yeah. Anybody can really do that.
I think Kyle gave that great tip of doing the open mic, and I think it's like good advice for anywhere, not only Hawaii. It's like do the open mic
wherever.
Get to know the other musicians.
Because you're trying to be part of that community.
And like it's about networking, right? Like just and not doing it so it's like, I'm gonna get a gig this way, but actually try to be friends with people and be like, hey, even if you're not playing or something, can we just play music
Yeah.
together? Can we hang out? Can we do stuff? So yeah,
And I can
just be
tell you
nice.
this, in Hawaii for sure, that should be your first part.
That goes a long
Because
way.
if you don't do that, there's a lot of guys who come in from the mainland who are
Yeah.
less, well, I'm just going to say, they're just obnoxious. You know, I had that at a gig where someone had asked
Yeah.
to hey, I'm looking for a jazz group. This was with my jazz group, and said he called around looking for a jazz group to play. And one of the places we were playing said, "Oh, we have a jazz group playing on this Saturday."
Yeah.
You know,
Showed up
the
with
guy
his
the guy just sort of and like expected to like sit in
Yeah.
and play. And it's one thing. So it's one thing if you go to a gig, and especially like he comes up and starts and hits us up like in our first break,
Yeah.
kind of thing. So I've never met this guy before. He was a bass player.
Okay.
You know, so he wants to play my instrument, everything like that. I'm like going, I was just like, you know, and it was one of those where he was friendly enough,
Yeah.
but you could tell like he kind of had this vibe of like, well, I expect to get what I want.
Uh,
And I was just like, I don't have the energy to argue with this
Yeah.
tonight. Here, play my bass. And I went back into I went to the other part of the restaurant and sat down with a Coke and just drank. And I was like, and then sure enough, one of my other, it was Sarah. After one,
Sarah took your bass?
I trust Sarah to play my bass. No, after one song, he's like, okay, let's do this one now. And it's like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Because it's like, okay, we let you sit in and do a song and stuff like that. But then you're like, okay, let's do this song now. Sarah's just like, put your trumpet down. Yeah, I'm gonna go sit down for a second. She comes sit next to me and like,
Because
You know-
like if somebody is playing with you guys or doing stuff and you know they're just like filling in doing songs and stuff, maybe like after so many songs they could be like, hey, do you guys know this song? And if you guys are like, yeah, we know that, then it like that would be fine with like
I don't know.
But it
We've
wasn't
talked
even-
about this before, where it's like
That's
if
not
somebody
cool.
somebody
Not
who
cool.
you don't know just comes up and say, "Hey, I want to play on your set," it's like that's
yeah,
not
and,
cool.
and,
Well,
and I'll say this
not
in a
cool.
jazz vernacular, there's a situation in which it's 100% welcome, meaning like you set it up and it's a jam.
yeah,
Do it as a
yeah.
jam,
Yeah.
like they used to do at Honolulu Bay Resort.
Yeah.
Like that was a part of the understanding that the last like 15 minutes of every set,
Yeah.
guys would be coming up. You talk to the
Yeah.
band before and you say, "Oh yeah, I'll come up and play this." That's how I worked on a lot of my saxophone playing chops in those early days. I'm sure I drove them nuts because for months I played just the same two songs because I was trying to work at that.
Yeah.
But then,
But if it's not like if that's sort of like the pretext of that, like
yes,
You know,
it was an understood thing that we
Yes,
accept.
yes,
we
yes.
were.
So we're talking about like if you just go up to a person you don't
Yeah.
even know and it's their
Yeah.
gig.
You haven't
it's
talked
not
to
a
them
thing. You haven't talked to them,
beforehand.
whatever. It's like, hey, I play music also. Like can I play a song with you guys?
Yeah.
And then you were like, no, I don't think so. I mean,
And then
we don't-
they'll
we don't
get all
know."
bent out of
And
shape.
then they're like, no, what do you mean? Like I'm a professional musician.
I'm really
like, you
good.
know, I'm really good. Like,
And the thing
you
is,
should like let me.
the funny
play.
part
Like,
is-
I have gigs around around the place.
Yeah. And the thing is, this guy wasn't bad. I mean, he actually was good.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
It's just
Yeah. No.
You-
So yeah, we talked about it before, and like, that's not cool. I don't care if you know those people. If they don't ask you,
yeah.
it's not okay.
Yes.
It's not okay. It's not
Yeah.
okay. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So
I
there are
could-
good ways of going about this and
Right.
bad ways.
yeah, and
Yeah.
there are absolutely certain times where it's absolutely inappropriate to do it.
like I
Yeah.
say for example, like Kaniho plays with like a bunch of bands,
Yeah.
right? Like, so say he's playing with Ekolu, one of the biggest bands in Hawaii, right? He's
Right.
playing a show, like, you know, I'm there, I have my ukulele or for some reason, you know, and I'm like, so I go up like Kaniho, like I can jam one song with you guys, or, like that's not cool.
Yeah.
That's not cool.
Yeah.
But if Kaniho is like, hey, oh my God, it's Aldrine in the crowd, we should bring him up. Like, you know, he's whatever, like, you know, and even then I'm like, nah, I
Yeah,
just
if
wanna
it's
watch
if
it.
it's his gig,
Yeah. That's
not
true.
Ekolu's gig. If
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
his gig and he asks you,
No, but if he asks Ekolu and Ekolu's like, hey, like, you know, like you like come up and jam a song, I'm like, Alan, you guys are doing pretty good by yourselves. That's my first reaction. But if they insisted, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'll play something.
And I would probably say in a situation like that, it would be the sort of thing where like maybe that's a discussion to be had before the show even starts.
I mean, ideally.
Ideally. Before the show's
Ideally.
like, hey, my buddy Aldrine's coming. You think he can come up and jam a song with us?
Yeah.
And
But even then, if you don't know, or if you're there, even if you know people, you don't just insert yourself.
Yeah,
Like, that's
or
just-
assume that they
Yeah.
should be letting you on
Yeah.
stage on
So
not your
same
gig.
thing, like one of the Fridays, like at a place. I'm not gonna mention
That
but
we play on
definitely played
Fridays.
every Friday, in that establishment where like we're jamming our set, people are vibing and stuff. Like I got maybe too drunk and was vibing too much. I don't know what happened. He gigs around the island as well, and he comes up and is like, oh, like I know the owner. You should let me jam with you guys and stuff. We're like, no, like we don't know you, and like wait, I didn't say that. I forgot what I said. I was trying to be nice about it. I'm just like, hey, like we usually don't let people up, and like, and then I said, I don't know, if it's okay with like the owners and stuff. Like it just,
then of course he's like, but I know the owner.
Yeah, and then he goes, but I know the owner is my cousin, blah 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 blah. This is my cousin, and then I'm gonna call that person out. Care. You know what I mean? Like I don't even care. It's rude. Don't do that. If you're watching this, we told basically we asked every musician on the island, is this okay to do? Everyone, resounding no, not okay. Yeah, like because Kaniho, who was playing with us, he's just like, he's also confused because like nobody does that, nobody does that. He asked his musician friends like, hey, is it like, do you think that's cool or not? None of them said it's okay. Like nobody thinks it's okay, but this person insisted.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I'm nice enough, so I played one like for that guy, and then like he wanted to do another one like after the song was done, and I'm like, no, if I'm if this guy's gonna play one more, I'm out of here. Like I'm not doing this. Like I was nice the first time, like we're not doing it. And then he just wouldn't leave. Wouldn't leave. And then I'm like, nope. So I turned it off, and I'm like, hey, like I told you, I'm out of here. If this guy's gonna stick around, I'm out of here. Like I felt like, and we all talked about this, like I felt like there should have been an intervention from the owners. Like they should have intervened, anyone of the staff, because that's not my job to get rid of this belligerent guy like trying to take over. And there's like tens of thousands of dollars of equipment on stage that are
in your hands.
yeah, you know what I mean. Like if this guy was belligerent, like decided to do whatever, like it could have had damages. And I felt like the owners or like the people in that establishment did not do what they have supposed to have done.
Right.
Like they weren't even paying attention. I was trying to grab their attention, like, hey, there's a situation going on here. They ignored me. Did not do anything. I called them out. Like, I mean, that's because I tried over and over on the microphone, on the speaker, and the speakers in that establishment not soft.
Yeah.
Not soft. People just didn't want to deal with that guy and decided that I was going to deal with that guy. I was like, no, I don't work here. I just play music. I'm an independent contractor, and this is not my establishment. I cannot do, if there's a altercation.
You can't kick him out. That's not your.
Yeah. If there's an altercation, like I would be at fault solely, because so I'm like, I'm not getting in trouble for this, like I'm not having the cops involved or whatever. Like this is your job,
Right.
Yeah, not cool. So in short, not cool. Don't go up and just start just inserting yourself in people. So going back to his question, sorry for this is like a long winded road, but going back to his
what's
question,
the best way to?
What's the best way to do that? Like, find out how you can get involved.
Yeah.
Yeah. So once again, I said like at some kind of open mic, or go to someone's performance, and then after, like, talk to them, like, oh hey, like I Jam too. I was wondering, if you guys have any advice or do you guys know of any place that is looking. Same thing what Mike said. Ask around, inquire. That's what I was going to inquire around, and see if there's any places that that would hire or
Have
would
an opening.
give you a chance.
Yeah.
Have an opening.
And a lot of them, and honestly, around here, restaurants like the local restaurants, a lot of them will.
Yeah, and if you're just offering your services, if you're just like, I just want to perform, that even more so. If you're just doing it for free, if your goal is to just perform, then you can get a lot of gigs doing that way, But
Now, I would say if your goal is to have a concert, a show in Hawaii,
that's
here's the
different.
thing: first of all,
me too.
yeah,
Me too.
if it depends on how much notoriety you actually have.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry, but a couple thousand followers on YouTube and maybe some good Instagrams and TikTok, it really ain't
gonna
going
be
to do
enough.
it
Not gonna be enough.
because people ain't really going to come out for that unless somehow you have a weird cult following at a certain place and then you go to that one place. Okay, maybe.
Yeah, Blue Notes. You say it.
Even
You say
then,
it.
even
You
then,
know,
Blue-
even when people have a following, and people have the notoriety and people have the name and the awards.
Okay,
two podcast awards.
Okay, to be fair, also, this artist also, when we talk about this, absolutely somehow does not believe that they would draw for a concert of that nature. And I keep trying to tell them they will.
Whoever that artist.
Whoever that artist may be.
Maybe.
You whoever that handsome, well-playing, 2-time podcast award-winning artist who runs a successful school and a very, very lucrative online website to teach his instrument and passion.
Some would say you guys are good friends, right? Maybe even best friends, maybe even co-parents. but
Mentor.
But one could say that. Could.
Only some people.
But I
Only
wouldn't
some
want to put words in someone's mouth.
people. Yeah.
But but even then you got to think, okay, so obviously we're really talking about him, but I do 100% believe that if we went to the Blue Note in Hawaii, with all the notoriety you have, with the performances you've done, Ukulele Underground, everything like that, I do believe you have enough of a name to draw it, to what they were hoping for. That being said, how many people subscribe to this website? How many people have watched your concerts literally all over the world? Think about how many people have viewed performances of yours from the LA Uke Fest and outside on YouTube. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of views. Each person of that is someone who might come out to a show, which does mean that if you don't have that yet, everybody can work up to it. But if you don't have that yet, then trying to approach a concert hall or something like that, unless you're just bankrolling the whole thing yourself, if you're going to do that, then
if you got money.
If you got that kind of money, then that's a different story. But if you're trying to do that, those are the questions they're going to ask you. And if you're going to say, oh, my YouTube with 3,000 subscribers and I have, over 400
Money talks, man.
follows.
I've seen people book Hawaii theater, $100,000. Do whatever you want. If you have the $100,000 to Hawaii
exactly.
theater, you can do it. You can just put up a performance.
You can put any sort of weird thing, any sort of weird thing on that stage.
Yeah.
If you have that money. Now, if you're hoping, and who knows? So I don't know you, and maybe you're like a billionaire.
Kui Lee, man. How do you not know that name?
If it was Kui Lee, he wouldn't actually have to come to Hawaii to perform. He'd already be here. But yeah, you know what I mean?
Kui Lee, not this one.
If it was the one we thought of when you said first, the name first was said, but yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you want to play here, you got to think of the scale and where you're looking to play.
Yeah.
And what are you hoping to do?
I think it's a big thing goes back to kind of what we were mentioning with last week's podcast about Molokai and stuff.
Yeah.
Is there's just a feeling when people come here that they're gonna I'm gonna carve out my place into this community and I'm gonna make a spot for myself in this community. But Hawaii is not like that.
No.
It's when you come here, it's instead of thinking about it like that, just be and it's not you have to conform to everything, but it's how can I provide for this community, or where do I fit in with this community?
Well, it's literally the reverse.
Yeah.
Like in some other markets, like if we're going to LA, yeah, you kind of have to like bull rush forward and carve your space in the market.
This is who I am.
Yeah.
Right.
How many followers?
Here-
I've got tens of followers.
Yeah. Here it's almost like, it's a weird way to put it, but it's like a game of Red Rover. You're gonna run into that wall of all the people who are here, that community here, and either they're going to let you in and you become a part of it, or they're just gonna repel you back out.
Yeah.
And that's really how you approach it. If you kind of try to run in and just bull rush your way in, yeah, pretty much everybody eventually is going to be like, oh, yeah, that guy. Yeah, that guy. Yeah. When people start asking, and you don't want that. I can tell you this right now. Yeah. If people speak your name with that inflection, that's bad.
Yeah, that guy who asked to play Brown Eyed Girl and then wanted to ask to play
whatever else he
No, you don't write afterwards. It's like, oh my God. So whenever we play Brown Eyed Girl now at Johnny's, that's that joke of like, hey, do you know the owner?
Yeah.
You know the owner, do you? Because we do have friends that jump up and and play with us and stuff.
Yes, but always by your invitation first. And,
and see, Joey came, with his wife and stuff. Didn't expect to come up, but I told him, I'm like, hey, you should come up and jam with us
if you want.
Yeah,
if you want.
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
Yeah, so if it's coming from the artist whose gig it is,
yes, absolutely,
an invitation.
And I think
perform.
we also have to put a little marker in there, because you said something that was, if you're gonna go see other gigs and at a bar and stuff like that, don't be drunk. I'm looking right into the camera and say, don't be drunk, because that is the surest way for you to make the wrong impression.
Can I tell this one story?
Oh, gosh.
So there's I was by myself. It was in California. It wasn't even around here. It was in California, and my wife used to watch this dude play at this one spot. Okay, and I'm not gonna name either of the two. And my wife's like, oh, we should go watch my friend. He's playing tonight. Always love watching him play. I'm like, awesome stuff. He's like, oh, he plays ukulele too. Every now and then he switches from guitar. He's mainly a guitar, player, plays ukulele. So he has a ukulele there and stuff. I was like, oh, that's cool. I'll go watch, And I didn't expect to go up. And then, so my then girlfriend, my Heather, my then girlfriend, she's like, okay, so we're just watching, and then he's like, oh, hey, that's like Aldrine, and you told me about you play music too. You want to come up and jam a song and stuff? And I was like, oh yeah, no, sure, no problem, fine, whatever. I go up and he's like, oh, there's an ukulele here, and they can jam along with me and stuff. I'm like, awesome. He's like, oh, do you know that song "I'm Yours"? I'm like, I think I can I can feel my way around. That's what he said. He's like, okay, well, here's the chords. I was like, okay, so, and then I was like, oh, well, what key are we in? If you give me the key, we'll give It's like, oh, it's in this key, so here's the chords. I was like, all right, still insist to do that, okay. And then and it's like, oh, there's a part in the song where it goes like this and it goes to these chords. I'm like, okay, yeah, all right, and then we proceed to play, and then I'm playing, and then he keeps looking like, I didn't know you could play, kind of looked, and I'm like, do you want me to play down? I don't know what you want from me, are you upset that I'm like that?
Am I too much for you?
Am I too much? Because he gave me that look, like, you're making me look bad, kind of look. Over why are you playing too good? I just okay. So I took that as okay, I can just strum and stuff. It's fine if you don't want me to add little things in there. But that's kind of what I do. But that's fine, So and then I relegated to just kind of strumming along, and it almost really played down to to start doing this thing, right? And then he goes, oh, solo, and then I'm like, in my mind I'm like,
what?
Do you
what kind of solo?
do you want me to actually solo, or did you it was just one of those I don't know what you want from me, man. You gave me this look earlier, looks plural, you know, because it's just like, stop doing that. Like, what are you doing? Like adding little riffs and licks and stuff. Stop. Oh, sorry, you know. And then now you want me to do a solo. Like, do you want me to do a good one, or do you want me to like? You know, I could do that, and that's what I did. And he still gave me that look of like, you know, like, all right. And then he started soloing, and then he started like kind of like showing me up. I'm like, dude, I didn't want to be here. Like, you called me up here.
I came to watch.
Yeah, like I came to watch you. Like, you know, and that was the end of the story. Is that my wife never went to that show again, because at the end, you know, like we were just like, oh, you know, like awesome job and stuff, you know, like, and Heather, like, she goes to watch this guy all the time and considers them as friends. Yeah, like, because afterwards you just like, you guys are friends, you know, like a bunch of the people that come to watch us at Oasis, if they're coming up, for like, oh yeah, we're like friends and stuff. And I never call anyone the F word. And I'll tell you. So my wife is like, oh, you know, like awesome, like great job and stuff. And then this guy goes like, oh yeah, it's always nice seeing, you know, like seeing Heather. She's one of the best fans ever. He's like, oh, it's like, I always love seeing fans come out, and you know, like, and Heather's one of the big, like, one of the best fans in the world. And it's just like, so, you know, to her, she was just kind of like, I thought we were like
actual friends.
Yeah, I thought we were like friends. Like we've gone out, like past, like, you know, past just going to the performance, we've like hung out at places. Like we've
don't do that.
Yeah. So when I'm talking, be part of the community and stuff,
yes.
Like people coming out to support you, don't call them fans.
Yeah.
I think,
like, even if they identify themselves as that, don't use that. Don't do that.
well, even
unless you're like Taylor Swift. Then you're at the level where you can refer. But that's like, you know what I mean? But that's still like a term of endearment, because she has like that specific name for
Yeah,
her fans.
because say Jake.
Yeah.
And like you just met him, right? You just met Jake, biggest fan. Like you came out, like, you know, you came out to his concert and stuff, and afterwards, and you know, you're like, oh, nice to meet you, Jake. It's like, oh, it's always nice to meet fans.
We actually have a funny story with Jake where he tried to introduce Mim to us, right?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, do you guys know Mim? And we're like, yeah, we know Mim. But it's like a genuine, like, he actually like, oh yeah, this person is cool. I want you to meet this other cool person.
I want my friends to know each other.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
And
that.
he's looking at people, like people who come to see them, or people who, you know, are talking to him. Is like he's talking to people, not like I'm separating them into groups or anything.
So the end of the story is that this person lost a fan because he called them a fan, and it's because she was just like, she was kind of hurt. Like, hey, you know, like, we've gone out for drinks. Like, it's not just like, I'm not in this place where you play at. You know, like.
Yeah.
Like her and her other friend that comes out like in a group and stuff. They're like, hey, why don't, after the show, we'll go to this other place. We'll go, you know, like we'll go hang out and stuff. And they hung out, like, oh, we're friends, right? Seen you for 2-3 years at that point, you know, like just coming out like at least every other week to go come see like this person play. And never went to that show again.
I have the opposite, where it's like people like will come to your guys' show and then they'll be like, "Oh, hi, I love the podcast. I listen to it. I'm such a fan." I'm like, "Ooh, thank you. Ooh, I don't know. I don't know how
But
to
to
feel
be
about
honest,
that.
you have a much different level of celebrity than all the rest of us.
You've never identified them as fans.
He has a fan club.
Yeah.
I'm just
You know,
saying.
like you don't call people the F word.
It's like you said right on Friday.
Yeah.
It's like, why do people watch this? Like, oh yeah, I love the show. It's like, oh, thank you. Why? I guess.
Do you
Sure.
really, like, or is it just there's nothing else on?
Okay, thank you.
You know, yeah.
Is your K drama not on yet?
So if you're wondering, like, some advice and stuff, don't do that. Don't do
Yeah.
that. I can't believe, because we're talking about the other altercation that happened at like at our Friday gig. I remember that gig, and because I would just go up to go visit Heather, and we're like, hey, it's whatever night, you know, let's just go and watch my friends. Like, I'd love to sit down and watch someone else perform for you know, for a change, right? And I'm like, all right. And he called me up. I guess I'll play and stuff. And you know, I'm always trying to color, so I'm trying to color. And he's like, don't. Why are you doing that?
Yeah.
All right, I'm not gonna do that then.
But that's
You know?
but in the realm of it too, that's ego and insecurity.
Yeah, because like say, on the same Friday night we have our friend Knox come up and and I want him to do the best job possible. And afterwards I'm like, yeah, everyone, like he's amazing. You should go like listen to him here, watch him here. Like I'm trying to empower my friend instead of just like, hey, can you not make us look bad? Like by you singing better than us, you playing guitar better than us, you like picking better than us, you picking better songs than us, Well, I'm never like that. Like it's just like, oh, this is awesome. The audience would love this, and the audience gets to see my friend do his thing, and I'm like,
and you get to have fun playing a song with them.
Yeah.
But I think that's
too much.
I think that is one of the
adding too
big
much?
difference. I think that is one of the big differences about the music scene in Hawaii
Yeah.
versus maybe everywhere else.
Yeah, that was in California.
Because in California, it's not that people don't compete here; they do, but it's almost like sibling rivalry competition. And a lot of it around here, it's like, oh, it's my brother, and I really want him to do good. I want to do better, but I don't want But just because I want to do good doesn't mean I want you to do bad.
Yeah.
Whereas in like LA, it's kind of like the worse you do, the more I get.
Yeah.
I think, and I think the people who come here with that attitude of being very competitive or like, I gotta outshine everybody, I think they're gonna be very isolated from the rest of the music.
Yeah,
very quickly.
they become, oh, that guy.
Yeah.
That's a great way to end it right there, everyone. They become that guy. All right?
Don't be
that guy. Don't be that guy. Just don't be that guy. Don't be that guy asking for brown-eyed girl, then asking for, you don't write afterwards. Don't be that guy asking somebody to play their instrument.
Don't be that guy who gets drunk and then tries to do any of those things.
Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy who calls up the guys and then like regrets that they call up that guy if they're playing too well. Like this. Don't be that guy.
But I think it's not necessarily that. It's more just like be the person that you would want around.
Yes.
Instead.
Yeah.
It's like.
Yes. Yeah.
Be somebody who contributes, who uplifts other people.
Yeah.
I think it's hard.
It's pretty easy to.
It's like if you're coming to Hawaii and you're like, my goal is to have a gig or something.
Yeah.
I mean, there's ways like Mike said, right? Like just call up and be like, hey, can I play music for you guys for free or whatever?
Yeah.
But if you're like you want to have a gig here and you want to do networking or do that stuff, is like, try not to think of it solely for yourself. Like that's my end goal. Think about like, I want to contribute to other people too.
Yeah.
All right. So with that said, Mike, you work at a music store. Tell them about the music store you work at.
I work at Scotty's Music. We are located across from Walmart in Lihui, so 5 minutes from the airport. If you come in, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, you can find me there. If you come Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, you can find my boss, Delisa, my cousin Thomas, or my other cousin Tom, Delisa's husband. And make sure to tell them Aldrine Guerrero sent you.
No.
Make sure to tell them that. And then if you buy something, make sure to say that the reason you're buying it is because of him.
No. Don't do this. Walk into Scotty's with your fingers waving in the air and saying, Magic Mike sent me. That is the right way.
I heard it on Ukulele Underground.
Magic Mike, ouch my fingies, Punk Master Mike sent me.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. So apparently we don't send enough people your way. Not like I'm not telling my peeps on my show on a weekly basis whenever you're here to come to your store. But no, we don't. I guess we don't do enough. I guess I'm not even gonna name the other person. The other person just sends in more people.
The difference is that we have. In all the years I've been doing this, we have constantly said, whichever music store I happen to be working at the time, come see us, come see us, come see us. The thing that you don't add is that you don't say, and make sure to say that I sent you. Yeah. You don't because that's not really.
You shouldn't have to.
No, but I think for someone who's doing it commercially, I understand it. Because that's a networking thing.
Yeah.
The thing is, you are putting this just out into the world. Really, right now, I do realize that most of the people watching this podcast are probably not going to visit me anytime soon because they live all over the world.
Yeah.
But
how many times have people been like, "Are you Magic Mike.
Okay, that's actually happened a few times.
Right?
Yeah.
So you're saying that like, oh, these people would never
nobody
come to
nobody
watch,
has
but they do.
but nobody has said I came here because you said to come.
They shouldn't have to. I
No.
shouldn't have to do that. I'm not trying to like, that's just not who I am. I'm not the type of person like, make sure you put my name in there. Like, make sure, like, sure, I get a little bit of that, like throwback. No, you just go enjoy the store. Just go say hi to Mike if Mike's there, buy something or don't.
Yeah.
There's gonna be fans who are like, I went into Scotty's, I saw Mike, but I didn't say anything. I was too embarrassed, so I am posting on Twitter that I saw Mike.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like you shouldn't have to let people like know that Aldrine told me about this place.
Yeah.
I feel like, but I guess in 2025, right? In order to get that kind of recognition.
Just to show that the networking's happening.
Okay.
Yeah,
That
think about it like that.
I guess so.
Just to show that the networking is
Yeah,
happening.
there it is. And check out ukuleleontheground.com. Ukuleleontheground.com. If you want to learn how to play the ukulele, no better place to learn it than ukuleleontheground.com. We have lessons dating all the way back for like 17, 18 years, yo. So we've been around for a long time. It's a big archive that you guys can check out. And if you're like, this is not enough, you want more, check out UU Plus, Ukulele on the Ground Plus. Sign up for that, and you can take your ukulele playing to that next level that you've always wanted to reach. Okay, through premium videos, we got solos, we got workshop-ish kind of videos, we got different instructors there, we got live coaching, we have tech checks, whatever you want. I mean, not whatever, just whatever we offer. Okay, and check out forum.ukuleleontheground.com. Make a friend or 1,000. There's enough people there. Okay, forum.ukuleleontheground.com, the biggest ukulele forum on Ukulele on the Ground. Now, biggest ukulele forum, I feel like, on the internet. Check out ukulele on forum.ukuleleontheground.com. Check out shop.ukuleleontheground.com, shop.ukuleleontheground.com. Buy an ukulele if you're like, I want to learn how to play ukulele, but I don't have one currently. Buy an ukulele there. If you're not going to Scotty's Music and buying an ukulele there, get one at shop.ukuleleontheground.com.
They do have some very fine.
Two shops can exist at the same time.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Do we have notes in? Can people, when they order stuff, can they add additional notes or something? Because if they do, I would love for people to get shirts and go, ouch, my fingies hurt, Magic Mike sent me or something. But I'm pretty sure the notes don't come to us.
No, somebody from Kanilea reads it or something. No, not even that. Like a fulfillment place, I guess.
Yeah, print shop. They're just like, what is going on?
No, because I've ordered something and then I've gotten a phone call from Kanilea. They're like, are you serious, Aldrine? Are you ordering something from your own store? I'm like, yeah, I kind of want that shirt. They're like, how else? I'm not just going to call you and ask for a free shirt. I mean, like that would be like 10 less rubber bands for us to get. So I'm going to pay for it so that we can afford our rubber bands for the month. You know what I mean? So yeah, I got on a phone call like, are you serious? Why we can just I'm like, no, don't give it to me for free. Like I want to buy this shirt. Like honestly want to buy that shirt. So all the shirts that you guys
or that ukulele. I think you got to call them the ukulele.
That's true too. I bought an ukulele. So if you guys think that that I'm like getting this free, no, I buy that stuff full price. Even when I go to Scotty's Music,
yes,
I actually insist on paying full price.
Yes. I don't always let him pay full price, but he has never. I put this out on the internet. Aldrine has never once asked for a discount or a free item or anything like that because he's famous. Ever.
The next
he's
time
never asked for that, and oftentimes he will resist
the famous discount.
He will often resist it happening.
I can't wait for when we get our awards and then I'll walk into Scotty's and pull up my shorts super high and be like, here I come.
How much for this?
Mike?
How about now?
Come in, right? And Thomas's awards, his whole new award, like push them off and like, oh, these go right here.
Yeah, move these hokus out of the way.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Make way for my podcast awards. We need it. We need that podcast award, everybody. We want it. Got to get it. Mm-hmm. Okay, what's going on? Anarchy in the UK.
When we see it, we'll figure out how to turn it into a belt.
Yeah, how am I supposed to ask for discounts without physical proof? You know what I mean? Like that's why I don't ask for one. But once I get it, I'm like, yeah, how much?
I'll be
now?
prepared. It's coming. I gotta be prepared. It's coming.
What's now? It's $300. Now it's $305. $300 for that keyboard. Now it's
I'm just not selling it to you.
Got more expensive. All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I know this was a little bit too long, but I apologize because my apology took about like 20 minutes. So I wanted to go at least 20 minutes over just so that you guys get what you're here for.
You know, I feel like we say that, but I don't think anybody ever sees like let's go past that hour.
Just in case, we do work for people, and I don't know if they're watching this. You know, like if the overlords of this company are like, hey, I actually tuned into your podcast. It was just nothing but 15 minutes of you apologizing about like, you know, I don't want that to happen.
Just tell them.
Yeah, I did, but did you see us go 20 minutes over?
The community understands.
Yeah. It's like there's a comment on our one non-ukulele podcast.
Yeah.
And they're like, not talking about ukulele, clicking off. I'm like, I don't think you've seen our other podcast yet, right?
Okay, yeah. So that's
there are definitely
that's
podcasts where the only ukulele is just saying the name.
All right, we'll see you guys next time. Have a great one. We'll see you on Friday for a Aloha Friday Live Jam. Make sure you check out ukuleleontheground.com. Check out aldrine.com if you want some in-person lessons here on Kauai. We'll see you then, or I'll see you tomorrow at Craig and Sarah's retreat.
If you're a teacher like me, have a good spring break.
Enjoy.